What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into TTP Sports. And now that we are fully recapping this series with the 4-game set between the Phillies and the Miami Marlins, Phillies survived. Phillies survived, and that can't go understated because they probably could have easily lost this series with the way the offense was swinging the bats the past couple of days. Definitely, we have to look at context clues here. We have to look at reality and factual information that when you are missing 3 big bats in your lineup, and this, seriously, it cannot go understated how much you are missing in this lineup. When you're missing your best power hitter in Kyle Schwarber, a guy that's going to drive the ball out of the ballpark, when you're missing your MVP caliber player in Bryce Harper, and when you're missing one of the best catchers in baseball in JT Realmuto, that is 3 huge bats in your lineup that are drastically gone, and that puts a lot more pressure on the guys that are still in the lineup, and it forces you to put certain guys in the lineup that should not be in the lineup every single day. And I'm talking about guys like Edmundo Sosa. I know Edmundo Sosa, he went on a really hot run when Trey Turner was out with injury. It looks like he's came back a little bit to reality. David Dahl, he's not an everyday lineup player, obviously. Rafael Marchand, Garrett Stubbs, they're going to give you what they give you. And just the entirety of when you're playing guys like Whit Merrifield, when you're playing Christian Pache, when you're playing Johan Rojas, and these guys are getting a bulk load of the chances to drive runners in because, throughout this series, the top guys in your lineup did get on base a plethora of times. You're seeing Bryson Stott on base, you're seeing Trey Turner on base, you're seeing Bohm on base, you're seeing Castellanos, Marsh on base, and the plethora of guys that are getting the opportunities to drive the runs home. It's, those guys in the lineup that are in the bottom part of the lineup that are not everyday players, they're not going to drive the runs in as consistent as you would want them to. It's just the reality of the situation. And then when the top guys do get their opportunity to drive the runs home, it really just puts more of an escalation on that appearance for those guys, specifically with runners in scoring position. When you're looking at Trey Turner, when he gets one chance, when you're looking at Nick Castellanos, who gets one chance or something like that, and maybe only 1 run scores when maybe you could have got 2 or 3 or something like that, you have to look at that, and you're going to have to see when those guys in the bottom of the lineup are getting the constant opportunities to drive runs home and they're not coming up. It puts more pressure on the other guys when they get that 1, maybe 2 chances during a game, to where it puts more pressure on them, to where you don't see the professional at bat, to where you don't see the good at bat. You see a very bad at bat because they have that thought process, oh shit, I got to get a hit here because if we get deeper and deeper into the lineup and those guys keep getting chances, we're probably not going to score much. So I got to do everything possible here to try to put the ball in play, to try to get a run home. And you swing at bad pitches, and you try to do too much at the plate. You try to swing too hard. You end up grounding out. You end up popping up, and you're not able to get the run home. It just results in a very bad at bat. And that's exactly what happens, throughout this series. And if you're looking at Friday's game, you're looking at today's game. Friday's game, basically, when you're looking at the starting pitching and reflecting on the starting pitching, especially in the situation that you're in, the starting pitching has to be perfect, and that's completely unfair to them. Cristopher Sanchez was absolutely awesome on Friday. He was damn near unhittable. Complete game shutout, showing all the energy in the world. Just electric stuff there from Cristopher Sanchez. Yesterday, I thought Aaron Nola was fantastic. Okay, before he comes out of the game, he allows the Marlins to score some runs, the bottom of the lineup. Okay, it happens. I don't think Aaron Nola is the reason why you lost. Yeah, yesterday goes more on the offense. Matt Strom comes in. He allows more damage to happen. The bullpen definitely wasn't the best in this series. The bullpen did step up in today's game because Ranger Suarez was not good. And also, yes, the defense once again was not good behind him. Actually terrible, to be honest with you. 5 errors in the game is completely unacceptable. That just cannot happen. And that is the bottom line right there. I'm not denying that whatsoever. But Ranger Suarez definitely was not good in today's game either. He allowed 6 earned runs to the Miami Marlins. He was getting whacked all over the place. He was allowing a lot of extra base hits. And that definitely is something unlike Ranger Suarez, and that is 2 games in a row now for Ranger where he's allowed some damage to completely escalate here, and maybe he needs a little bit of a reset. Ranger Suarez was not going to be amazing the entire season. Even Cy Young caliber pitchers, when they have Cy Young caliber seasons, they're going to have maybe that 1, 2, 3 game stretch where they struggle a little bit. I do expect Ranger Suarez to bounce back. Today was just a not good game for Ranger Suarez. That is the bottom line right there. Yeah, the offense had a plethora of chances in this game early on. You have Nick Castellanos with a bases loaded chance. You have, basically all these chances throughout the game to get some runs home. Alec Bohm gets a 2-run shot, basic in the bottom of the first inning after the Marlins go up 1-0. But then the big boys did step up as the game went along. Nick Castellanos had himself a fantastic game. He went 4 for 5. I believe he drove in, 3, 4 RBIs or something like that. Yeah, he drove 3 RBIs in. If you're looking at your big top guys in the lineup, Nick Castellanos, he drove in 3 RBIs. Alec Bohm, 2, and Trey Turner drove in 2 RBIs. Trey Turner with a huge go-ahead 2-run single there. That was huge. So your top guys in the lineup did produce in this game. Yeah, it shows you 3 for 17 with runners in scoring position. Let's look at all the guys that had the chances. Sosa had 2 chances. Clemens had a chance. Merrifield had 2 chances. Dahl had 3 chances. So what is that? 2, 3, 5, 8? 8 of the 17 chances your bottom guys in the lineup had. Yeah, then Marsh had a chance. He went 0 for 1. Turner went 1 for 2. Stott went 0 for 1. Bohm went 0 for 2. And Castellanos went 2 for 3. That's 7 chances right there for the top part of your lineup. The top part of your lineup definitely was more successful in that situation. But like I said, half of those chances, more than half of those chances, are going to the bottom part of the lineup and guys that shouldn't be playing every single day but are being forced to play every single day because you're injured. Your 3 best guys in the lineup are injured. That is clearly factual, and for some reason, Phillies fans just do not understand that. They just look at Miami Marlins. Miami Marlins are a terrible team. Yes, the Miami Marlins are a terrible team that cannot go understated. I understand the Miami Marlins are a terrible team. But when you're being forced to play Edmundo Sosa every day, when you're being forced to play Whit Merrifield every day, David Dahl, a platoon of Garrett Stubbs and Rafael Marchand, when you're forced to play Pache, Rojas, all that stuff, all those guys in the bottom of the lineup, your offense is going to struggle to score. That is the bottom line against any type of competition. Any type of competition. Those guys are going to struggle to get hits consistently and drive in runs consistently. That is a fact. That is reality, and that's what people need to understand. And like I said, when the top guys do get maybe their 1, 2 lone chances of the game, it gets escalated even more because the bottom of the guys of the lineup didn't do anything. So it puts even more pressure on the top guys to do something, and when they don't do something, it sends people into a frenzy, and they say some irrational things. Because a lot of people want to say this Phillies team is terrible with runners in scoring position. Yes, they've had stretches where they've been bad with runners in scoring position. They're 60th in the entire league in terms of runners in scoring positions. That is a factual information. I have the stat right here. If you want to look at some of the teams that are leading the league with runners in scoring position, the Phillies are up there. The Phillies are 6th. I think before this weekend series or something like that, they were 2nd. They were 2nd, or before this week, honestly, they were 2nd in the league in terms of runners in scoring position. The Phillies, as a team, they've driven in 295 RBI, so that if you're looking ranked up at the teams with runners in scoring position, that is the most in baseball. They have a 274 average. They have a 352 on-base percentage. They have a 452 slugging, and that slugging percentage, I believe, is ranked 4th in baseball. And they have an 804 OPS, which is ranked 5th in baseball. They are a good team with runners in scoring position. Look at the teams that are above them. The Kansas City Royals, which obviously it does look like the Royals are maybe dying off a little bit. Then the Cleveland Guardians, then the New York Yankees, then the Arizona Diamondbacks, and the Arizona Diamondbacks are a few games below 500, and the San Diego Padres. Teams that are below the Phillies so far, this is a screenshot of an image that was posted on Twitter. I believe this was posted by Dylan McKinnon of 97.5 The Fanatic. So that was posted by Dylan, and obviously, yes, the Phillies are losing 3 of 5 of their best hitters, and like I said, that cannot go understated. That it completely cannot go understated, and that is obvious there. It's funny too. It does look like It's starting to, yes, it is starting to pour, so they just ended the game at probably the right possible time there. So thankfully they were able to get this game finished. Thanks to the Lord. Thank the Lord. But like I said, the offense did come up clutch today. People do need to realize that. The offense did come up clutch. Your top guys did come up clutch today. Trey Turner came up clutch and Nick Castellanos were huge for you. That cannot go understated. If I want to look at the lineup, Bryson Stott, 1 for 5. Trey Turner, 3 for 5 with 2 RBI. Alec Boehm, 2 for 5 with 2 RBI with a 2-run shot. Brandon Marsh, 2 for 4 with a walk. And then Nick Castellanos, he was 4 for 5 with 3 RBI. And then you look at the bottom of the lineup, Cody Clemens, 1 for 3. Edmundo Sosa came in, he went 0 for 2. Whit Merrifield, 0 for 3 with a hit by pitch and a walk. David Dahl, 1 for 4. And then Rafael Marchand, he went 0 for 2 with a walk. I believe he got hit by a pitch. I'm not mistaken on that entire fact. But if we look at the pitching for today, the bullpen was absolutely huge for you. Yeah, Ranger Suarez, the errors didn't help him, but he was not good either. 4 2/3 innings, 9 hits, 6 earned runs allowed, 2 walks, 0 strikeouts. That is highly unlike Ranger Suarez in that entire situation. And I think there's a stat here from Ranger Suarez specifically for this game, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, this is from Paul Casella on Twitter. Today is the first time in 83 career starts that Ranger Suarez failed to record a strikeout. He threw a first pitch strikes to just 13 of 26 hitters. The last Phillies pitcher to face at least 26 batters and not record a strikeout was Ben Lively on June 3rd of 2017. That just shows to go you. Ranger Suarez did not have his best stuff today. He was not good today in today's game, regardless of how bad the defense was behind him. Ranger was just not good. The Miami Marlins, I think, in total, they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 extra base hits in this game, if I'm not mistaken. 6 or 7 extra base hits. And they only had 11 hits in the game, and 6 of 7 of those, more than half, were extra base hits. And a majority of those were against Ranger Suarez, if I am not mistaken. Then Ruiz comes into the ball game. He pitches an inning in the third. He gets 2 strikeouts, allows 1 hit on 16 pitches. Seranthony Dominguez, he walks 1, allows a hit, strikes out 1 on 23 pitches. He managed to get out of his inning unscathed. Gregory Soto was dominant in his 8th inning of work, 2 strikeouts on 11 pitches. And then Jeff Hoffman, 1, 2, 3, gets the save, 10 pitches, 1 strikeout there to close out the ball game. So you found a way to split the series there. If we want to look at yesterday's ball game, I want to get the Friday's ball game last because that was just amazing work by Cristopher Sanchez on Friday. So if we look at yesterday's ball game, Phillies, they went 1 for 5 with runners in scoring position. The offense definitely really struggled in yesterday's game. They only scored 2 runs. They got 5 hits in total. And just looking at the lineup from yesterday, Bryson Stott went 2 for 3, Trey Turner 0 for 4, Alec Boehm 0 for 2 with a sac fly and a walk. Brandon Marsh 0 for 4, Nick Castellanos 1 for 4, Cody Clemens 1 for 3, Pache 0 for 1. Came in to pinch it for Clemens. Sosa 0 for 4, Stubbs 1 for 2 with a solo shot. Merrifield that went 0 for 1 in the pinch hit situation. Marchand went 0 for 1, and then Johan Rojas, he went 0 for 2 with a walk. Like I said, 1 for 5 with runners in scoring position. Aaron Nola, he went 6 2/3 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 9 strikeouts on 100 pitches. Matt Strahm came in, he allowed the 3rd run to score, so that run got charged to Aaron Nola right there. Basically, Strahm definitely has struggled the past couple of games. With how amazing Strahm has been this season, he was due for a couple of games where he wasn't completely electric out there, so that's understandable in that right. Jose Alvarado, he went 1, 2, 3 in his inning of work, 13 pitches, and then Orion Kerkering threw 13 pitches, allowed 1 hit, 1 strikeout. So yesterday you could put it on the offense. Yesterday, 100% you could put it on the offense. It wasn't the pitching entirely. 2-0 on Friday. Cristopher Sanchez was just amazing. Complete game shutout, 9 innings, 3 hits, 9 strikeouts on 101 pitches. He was just nasty. Completely nasty. Only allowed 3 hits, like I said. Phillies lineup in total, Bryson Stott, he had the lone 2 RBIs on the day. He went over 3 with 2 RBIs. Trey Turner 1 for 4. Alec Boehm 1 for 4. Brandon Marsh 1 for 2 with 2 walks. Nick Castellanos 1 for 4. Cody Clemens over 3. Whit Merrifield 1 for 3. Garrett Stubbs 1 for 2 with a walk. And then Johan Rojas went 1 for 3. He manufactured one of those runs. I believe that was in the bottom of the 8th inning when he turned a stretched a single into a double, and then he stole third base on a wild pitch, if I'm not mistaken. Then Bryson Stott was able to drive him in on a sac fly. So, yes, offense definitely not the prettiest in this series. Like I said, there are context to that. There's a reality to that situation to where you don't have your top guys in the lineup. Yes, you split against the Miami Marlins, and in face value, you just have to deal with that at that point. Rob Thompson even said it himself. He knows they're going to struggle offensively. They got to find different ways to score runs with how many bodies they're missing. And yes, it is completely unfair to the starting rotation that you basically have to pitch perfect. It's completely unfair. It's unfair to Aaron Nola. It's unfair to Ranger Suarez. And granted, Ranger was not good today. It's unfair to Zack Wheeler. It's unfair to Cristopher Sanchez. And it's unfair to whoever is the fifth post starter in the rotation at this point. So that's basically what it is right now. You're going to have to deal with this for a little bit because thank God we did get some, with the good information on Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber that they're not missing a bunch of time at all. They're both on the 10-day IL. Kyle Schwarber probably will return before the All-Star break. Bryce Harper, I would expect them to push him back till after the All-Star break just to be more precautious with him. So they're saying he can return before the All-Star break, but I wouldn't be shocked if it's after the All-Star break. Would not be shocked in the slightest there. So yeah, that's basically it. That's basically it from these 3 games. It's just offensively you were not good, and that is very completely obvious with the lineup that you're having to be forced out there for the past 3 days, and it's going to be like that for a little bit right here. You did get some help today with the Atlanta Braves losing the series finale to the Pittsburgh Pirates, so you did gain a game on them in the standings. That definitely helps a lot there. So after this, you have a day off tomorrow, which I would assume this team needs. Then you have 6 games in a row. You have the Cubs this week, and then you have the Atlanta Braves this weekend after 4th of July. Insanely huge stuff, and it does suck that you are dealing with injuries at this point, but you're going to have to figure out a way to find a way to grind some wins out here and just try to survive and hover around 500 baseball type of things through this stretch right here until Harper, Schwarber come back and all that. It's going to be tough. It's going to be incredibly tough. Like I said, after the Cubs and the Braves, it's the Dodgers, and then maybe you got some breaks with the Athletics, but it's still, when you're injured, like I said, as much as you are with the lineup, it's going to be hard to score runs against any type of opponent. It's just reality of the situation. So, just got to wait. And until Dave Dombrowski does make a trade at the trade deadline to improve the outfield offense, which he is going to do, like some people are just like, oh, what is Dave waiting for? He's going to make a trade. He's not going to rush into a situation to where he gets fleeced. That's what he needs to do at this point. And there's definitely some intriguing names still, obviously, with Luis Robert and all that stuff. I do want to ask some guys out here because this honestly could be an interesting situation if, you say you can't get Luis Robert. Do you go after Jazz Chisholm? Jazz Chisholm converted to center field last season for the Marlins. Would Jazz Chisholm be an intriguing guy? He does look like he is a good defensive center fielder. He has all the speed in the world. He can get on base. Yeah, he does tend to strike out, but he definitely could be an electric energy type of guy that you could put it there in the outfield. It'll definitely improve your offense, no doubt. But it definitely is an option out there. Possibly, I wouldn't be shocked if Dave Dombrowski, tweaks around with the Marlins or something like that to say if he can't get a Luis Robert. I'm sure Luis Robert is probably the number 1 priority for him to try to get. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I'm just throwing that out there, basically. So, I'm not entirely sure what they're going to do because the 5th spot in the rotation is scheduled to pitch on Tuesday. But then they can also flip the rotation around a little bit because Zack Wheeler could pitch on Tuesday on normal rest. So we're just going to have to see if that's what Rob Thompson decides to do going into Chicago on Tuesday to try to put his team maybe in the best possible position. Because do you really want to put a very young pitcher in Mercado in a position where he's probably not going to get any run support? Maybe try to put your ace out there to maybe just put yourself in the best possible position. There definitely is a call right there for Rob Thompson, so we'll just wait and see what happens there in terms of, what's going to happen on Tuesday for that game. Like I said, some interesting things. Definitely this team is going to have to battle through some things. So, like I said, they got to survive. They got to find a way to stay at 500. Stay at 500, basically what it is. Yeah. And maybe they get some help from the Braves losing some of their games. What did they do in that series overall against Pittsburgh? I believe they won that series, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see what the Braves are doing recently. I do want to see them. So if I go to standings right now, you are 8 games above the Atlanta Braves. So they are 5-5 in their last 10. You are what in total? You are 6-4 in your last 10. Yeah, the Mets definitely are winning a bunch of games lately. They're 40-40 now in the season. I believe they just lost to the Astros. If I'm not mistaken. No, they're still playing. They're still playing currently. They're in a rain delay in the bottom of the 9th inning, tied 4-4. But if I look at the Atlanta Braves, What did they do entirely in that series against Pittsburgh? Okay, so they lost the series so before this entire thing, they lost a 3-game series to the St. Louis Cardinals. They lost a makeup game against the Chicago White Sox, and then they won this series against Pittsburgh. So their offense didn't score that much. Their pitching basically did their thing, and then they're playing the San Francisco Giants for the next series. So they're playing the Giants, and that could go any type of way. And then they play the Phillies, and then they play a 4-game series against Arizona. Let's see. And then 3 games against San Diego. 3 games against San Diego. So we'll definitely see. We'll definitely see what happens there. The Braves can lose to anyone. They could beat anyone. So it's been that type of season for them. So they can help you. They can hurt you. It really doesn't matter at the end of the day. So if we look at just this upcoming series with the Braves, it'll be just to see the pitching matchups, it'll be Aaron Nola against Max Fried, then Ranger Suarez going up against Spencer Schwellenbach. He has not been good for Atlanta since being called up. And then it'll be Mercado against Reynaldo Lopez. Reynaldo Lopez has been really good, and Max Fried has been really good since the start of the season for the Braves. So definitely will be an interesting matchup there in terms of everything. And for the Phillies pitching matchup this series against the Cubs, if everything stays on schedule, it'll be Mercado on a Tuesday pitching against Hayden Wesneski. He is a relief pitcher. So it looks like that'll be a bullpen game, or they're stretching someone into a starter right there. So it's Snetsky. His ERA is 3.6 for the Cubs. And then on Wednesday, it'll be Shoto Imanga, who is 7-2 with a 3.07 ERA. He's definitely gotten lit up in the past couple of games. So he's definitely come back down to earth a little bit, and that'll be Zack Wheeler on the mound. Then it'll be Jameson Taillon, who is 4-4 with a 3.03 ERA against Cristopher Sanchez. And then the rest of the schedule. You do got 2 nationally televised games, though, against the Braves. Another Apple TV game, so that sucks, against the Braves, and then a Fox game. That's a primetime game on Saturday. So, yeah, 2 nationally televised games. Sadly, the Phillies probably won't be healthy for that, for national television. So, sadly, that sucks at the end of the day. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do? But like I said, I do want to throw that question out there about Jazz in certain situations there. So we'll see. What else? We do have a voicemail here on the End Time Hotline, so I definitely want to see. We'll see. Let's get to the End Time Hotline there, actually. So let's get to Sean. And if you want to leave any voicemails for future use, you can leave it at 215-839-985. Your thoughts and opinions on anything. So let's go to Sean here, see what he gets to say on this full series for the split here for the Phils.
So today's game falls under the category of, I guess, we shall overcome, or how did they pull it off? I mean, not too many times do you win a game making 5 errors, leaving as many guys as they did on base, getting another bad performance from Ranger. That's 2 in a row. I mean, but they hung in there and got the win and salvaged the series. Still not a great series by any means, but at least they got the win. And thank you, Pittsburgh, for helping us out, put a win on Atlanta, and take that game back away from them that they got on us yesterday. But I got to tell you, still concerned about the offense, especially on the road. You're throwing Mercado Tuesday night, so we don't know what we're going to get out of him. But this offense is just wretched. I mean, luckily the top of the order came through, but, I mean, you just cannot continue to leave as many guys on base as they've been and hope to win games consistently. Harper, Schwarber, Realmuto, those guys can't get here soon enough. Hopefully the Braves continue to keep stubbing their toe. The Phillies are just going to have to hold water until they get their bodies back.
Yeah, that's exactly what they have to do. Tread water. You got to find a way to stay above 500, just float around 500 for the stretch. And yeah, it's like how I explained it, when you're top of the lineup guys that are just constantly getting on base, and then when you have guys in the bottom of the lineup with just specifically, Sosa, with Dahl, with Marchand, with Stubbs, with Pache, with Rojas. When those guys are getting a boatload of chances, it's just those guys are not going to drive your runs home. That's just the face of reality right there, because they're not everyday players. They're not everyday major league hitters. That's the reason. And yeah, it sucks to bring that, but that's understandable because they're not everyday major league players. They're bench players for a reason, and they're not going to hit in every time. They're good in maybe a stretch or everything, but overall, your top of the lineup did come through. And yes, like I said, when the times your top of the lineup doesn't come through in the lone chances that they do get, thankfully today they got more chances and they were able to cash in on those chances. But the very few chances that they do get in some other games and they don't come up, like I said, it escalates a little bit more in the frustration side, because that's what leads. Like I tried to explain it earlier, when you have a thought process going into the plate, and now when you're getting all these chances, you can't come up home, and it's Trey Turner's turn, now it's Bryson Stott's turn, now maybe it's Nick Castellanos' turn, or Alec Bohm or something like that. Your thought process changes because you're like, shit, I gotta get this run home now because the bottom of the line ain't doing crap when we get on base for them. I gotta find a way to get this run home, or these 2 runs home, or whatever it is, how many runners are on base. It leads to the bat at bat. It leads to swinging at garbage. It leads you to pop up. It leads you to ground out. It leads you to strike out. That's what happens. Now, when Turner, when Castellanos, when these guys got multiple chances, specifically for today's game, they came up more. They came up more. That's basically it. That's basically it. Yeah, I do understand when you do get multiple chances. Yeah, the line. I'm not saying they shouldn't be. I'm just looking at this is reality. This is reality. They're not going to do it on, I would say, 90% of the time. 85, 90% of the time, those guys are not going to come up. Those guys are not going to come up. They're just not. They're just not, because that's what they are. Edmundo Sosa, for how great he played during the stretch Trey Turner was out in, he's come back down to reality. David Dahl is not an everyday MLB player. Christian Pache is not an MLB hitter. Rafael Marchand and Garrett Stubbs, those guys are just not going to do that on a consistent basis. It's just not. Who else? Rojas, he's not an MLB hitter. That's what it is. Like that's what you have to deal with. And that's what I said. It puts more pressure on those top guys to do too much. And that's why when you have Schwarber, when you have Harper, when you have JT, that's why it fleshes out the lineup more. And that's what you're missing. That's what you're completely missing. And yeah, it does suck that those guys in the bottom of the lineup just like once can you have a good game? Like once can you just have a good game? Would you have maybe a chance where Sosa gets an RBI hit, where Dahl gets an RBI hit, or like in quick succession? Like do it there. Like maybe you have an inning when those bottom guys in the lineup get on, or not get on. Like they get the hits when the guys are on base. Like, Marsh gets on base, Castellanos gets on base, you get first and second, Sosa comes up, he gets an RBI single. Then Dahl comes up, maybe there's a runner on third base, he gets a sac fly. And then maybe Stubbs or something like that, or something like someone gets an RBI double or something like that. Like in quick succession, you find a way to get those on, and those guys are just not going to do that. Maybe you'll have that one game or two in a span of a week where it does happen. It's not going to happen that often. It's just the case, the situation. I hate to say that, but it just is. It just is. It just is. And yeah, maybe that shows you how bad the bench is. In reality, Cody Clemens, yeah, coming back from the injury, definitely. And that's also when Cody Clemens was having time in the lineup and he was getting all these hits. Why was he getting all these hits? Because the lineup was more fleshed out when you didn't have all those injuries. And Cody Clemens, okay, there wasn't as much pressure on him. And he was able to do some things. It's just, now, when these guys have more pressure in their hands, when they're being forced to play every day, it's not going to happen. It sucks, but it just is. It just is. Ugh. But they found a way to split, so I will accept that. I will accept that bearing the circumstances. Because it was just, it was a weird week. It was a not fun weekend from that perspective. Definitely from that. Yeah. And now people are trying to say, like, oh my God, the Phillies won 7-6. Oh, NBA free agency starts at 6 o'clock. Oh my God, the Sixers are going to sign Paul George. Oh God. Can't wait for all that nonsense. Cannot wait for all that nonsense. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Yeah. The kangaroo deserves a chance. I mean, it can't be any worse. It really can't be any worse than Whit Merrifield. It can't be any worse. But that's the thing. They're more prone to bringing up guys that have options and stuff like that. So I understand. Yeah, Whit Merrifield right now, he just is washed in this point of his career. Christian Pache is not a major league hitter. At this point, Christian Pache, he's basically just a defensive replacement at this point. That's what he is. David Dahl, maybe he'll have a good game or two or something like that, but still, he's not a major league hitter anymore with the way that he just is. He's a quadruple A type of player. He's going to crush minor league pitching, but he just can't hang it in the major leagues. And then Stubbs or Marchand are just what they are. So, and like I said, Sosa definitely came back down to earth a little bit. So that's basically the case right there. It does suck. It just does suck that we're in this predicament, but you got to find a way to fight through it. You got to find a way to tread water. That's basically what it is, and just hope the Braves lose some games, so you can keep that lead at least until you get healthy, or until at least you get to the All-Star break, or until Dave Dombrowski makes a trade. And I think Sean brought this up in the chat earlier as well. I think if you could find a way to get Roberts and maybe Tommy Pham. Tommy Pham 100% bolsters your bench a little bit. Tommy Pham could be a good platoon option with Brandon Marsh in left field, 100%, 100%. And then Luis Roberts. So I'll take that any day of the week. I'll take that any day of the week. Methfield? You mean Methfield? Yeah. Which just it's Josh Harrison 2.0. That's basically what it is. It's Josh Harrison 2.0. And that sucks. And that sucks because I did agree with the signing. Philly should have a 5-man bench, one less reliever. With a DH, your bench really isn't going to be that deep. I don't think most teams have a deep bench at this rate with the DH. You know what I mean? I'd rather have a deeper bullpen so you have more arms because you never know when an arm can go down. You know what I mean? I'd rather have a deeper bullpen. Yeah, I wouldn't mind Tommy Pham whatsoever. I wouldn't mind Tommy Pham. Like I said, I think he'd be a good platoon with Marsh because Marsh, at this point, just can't hit lefties. I think it's obvious. Marsh just cannot hit lefties. But you're at the force of the play against lefties at this point because you're injured. And if you get a good platoon option with Marsh in left field, Marsh can play against the righties. If you say you get a guy like a Tommy Pham, he plays against the lefties. That's what I see at least. And yeah, Tommy Pham I think would be a good option. I think so. So yeah, that's basically it on that standpoint. I don't think there's anything on Twitter wise in terms of Rob Thompson or anything like that. A lot of the stuff I'm seeing on Twitter right now is NHL stuff. And NBA stuff in regards to like free agency approaching. There's some NHL news in regards to some players not being qualified, some trades. Gensel got traded to Tampa Bay. Like his rights got traded to Tampa Bay from Carolina. So we'll see. Interesting stuff. Yeah, Carter Hart didn't get qualified, so he'll be a UFA. That was the obvious case right there. Platooning left to right and left and center, a reliever or two that can pitch 2 innings. Yeah, they'll I think they will get another. I think they'll get another Strom type of reliever if they do get a bullpen arm. I think it'll be obviously outfield, obviously a starting outfielder, but a starting outfielder and a platoon outfielder because I do believe Dave Dombrowski said he's trying to get 2 outfielders, one that can start and one that could be a platoon option, and then obviously possibly maybe you look at the 5th starter spot just in case, and then you get another bullpen arm or something like that. That's what I would think. I wouldn't say Robert's a reach. It'll definitely be tough to get Robert, but Robert would be worth it because you do have Robert. You would have 3 years of control left on him. That would be worth it, in my opinion. Tanner Scott. We talk about Tanner Scott. Tanner Scott. What are we talking about Tanner Scott for? Oh, for the Marlins pitcher. I wouldn't be shocked. If they go after Tanner Scott, if that's the case. Definitely wouldn't be shocked there. He's been a good reliever for the Marlins the past couple of seasons. I wouldn't be shocked. Would not be shocked. Would not be shocked at all. I think you can find a way to get Luis Robert without having to give up Abel or Miller. in my opinion. I think you can. Because I still go by the narrative the White Sox are a poorly ran organization, and I think you can find a way to fleece them. Oh, not fleece them per se, but find a way to talk them into not taking Painter or Miller, if that makes sense. How do I feel about the Flyers' moves as a whole? 2 centers, 2 defensive and wings, I'm confident to say at least. They definitely had a mindset going into the draft. They definitely had a mindset of filling up the center depth. There were some picks in the later rounds that I do like, but obviously you're taking flyers on some people in the later rounds of the draft, which is an obvious statement there. Definitely, they got some guys that did drop, some guys that were expected. The Jet move, I do like Jet as a player, but I still do think it's a reach at where they were at. But they're banking on his youth and him taking another step in his development in the CHL. So they're banking on that. They obviously just did not want to go after the defenseman. They just wanted to go after the center depth. So they were drafting for need instead of drafting best player available, which I do not agree with in that state of the draft. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? The Flyers obviously did not like this draft whatsoever. They're banking on the 2025 draft 100%. They are banking on the 2025 draft, or they're accumulating draft picks to make some trades this offseason. That's what I see. I know everyone's trying to throw in a rumor out there that the Flyers might be trying to go after Brady Tkachuk, and which I would love Brady Tkachuk. I definitely would. Are they going to do that? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know who put the rumor out there that everyone's trying to tie into this into, but that's basically it. Oh yeah, they definitely tried to get Demidov. They 100%, I believe it was the Flyers and the Blackhawks that put really heavy offers into Chicago, not into Columbus, and I believe the rumor was like 3 draft picks for the Flyers and a roster player or 2 or something like that, and Danny Briere thought that was too much. So they definitely pushed tires on that thing. It's just that they didn't want to pull the trigger fully. And right now, for the fan base, to get excitement, we do need to start seeing some moves from Danny Briere because there have been a lot of rumor. Flyers just weren't willing to pull the trigger on that. Well, I do think Danny Briere eventually is going to start pulling the trigger on some things. You know what I mean? So, like, I still believe in this full front office and everything like that, in my honest opinion. But I think you got to pull the trigger on something when you do get an offer that you think you like. So, and then, yeah, there comes the question with Travis Konecny and all that stuff, and we'll definitely talk about that at a later date. But someone, like, many people on Twitter were talking about, if you're banking on the 2025 draft, why would that make sense? Why would signing Travis Konecny be even a conception? Why don't just trade him to get more assets? That definitely is a good question mark. And there's an argument for that. No, 100%. I would be in favor of trading Travis Konecny because I do believe on your roster, he's the guy that'll fetch you the most value, like what Sean just said right there. I do think TK would fetch you the most value. But like I said, that's something for a later date. And, that's basically it right there. But I do think that'll do it for tonight, everybody. Phillies have a day off tomorrow, and definitely going to be some interesting things. NBA free agency does open up in a half hour, so we're probably going to be seeing some stuff revolved around the Sixers and everything right there. So if the Sixers do some things there with Paul George, because there are some ties, obviously the ties with the Sixers and Paul George, and I believe the last report I said was the Sixers are most likely confident they're going to sign Paul George once free agency opens. So we'll see something. If the Sixers do something, maybe tomorrow we'll put something up there just talking about the moves that they did, even though the Sixers have completely just broken me on just them in general. So we'll see. Or maybe we could talk some more Flyers specifically centering around the draft. So we'll see. Am I going to development camp? Probably not. Probably not. In my opinion. Probably not. I'll probably just see things on Twitter. Probably not going to development camp. Yeah. I think that'll do it right now. So, yeah. Phillies got an important series split. They got, especially winning today's game. That was something that they just desperately needed. So, appreciate you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Don't forget to drop a like. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It does me a great deal of service. And also use the code TTPSPORTS, $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. Great deal. Do not pass it up. Appreciate you guys for tuning in here. Tomorrow, Maybe there'll be something Sixers related. Maybe there'll be something Flyers related. You'll just see something pop